Hanji Bhai Khosawat, welcome everyone. So we are starting Pauri 6 today.
And the whole meaning of the shalok, the next Pauri, Musalmana Sif Tasharayat Parpad Karan Vichar, as per my understanding, this is the variation from the original Vedic religion. There is only one religion, which is known as Vedic religion, and now there is a diversion being created within this faith. Instead of accepting Quran, there is much more stress on the Shariat. The Shariat says much more about the social living, whereas Quran is telling more about the religious way of life. So Muslimana Sif the Sharia they put more stress on Sharia, and they are worldwide asking to get the Sharia law passed in every constitution. Bande says whereas the real thing is that if you want to get mukti, you have to stay within the bandish of the hukum. Bande say jo problem is bandi, you have to be binding by the hukum or kudrat. Then you can attain your own darshan, they can go didar. Then there is next sect is the Hinduism. Hindu salah is salah and darshan rupa bhav. Hindus love to salah, to the praises, but they would like to put a idol in front. Darshan rupa bhav, and the idol has got so many things attached to it, valuable things. They think this is the apar roop. Whereas it is not Chaitan. The one you have to get merged into is your own mood, Prana Dada. So they are also diverted. Hindu Salah is Salah and Darshanu Gopal, and they also do Tirthana Mein Archa Puja. You go to the different pilgrimages, but they think you can get mukti. They use all these incenses and other fragrances. That's their way of worship and has not been accepted by the Vedic thought process. Then they say the third sect is the Jogi. Jogi sunate avanajete alakh naam karta. Jogi say they attain the value, they attain the stage of sunna by just repeating the word alakh alakh. Whereas the alakh, as per Ved, is sukham murat, naam ranjan kaya ka. That is sukham. That is beyond the capability of the five senses. So the sentient is not within the five senses. You could never attain a association with him just through repeating a word. And in Sikhism we do this by or some other words. So this has been rejected as well. Then we have Satyaman Santokurja Tenake Vichar. The Satis think that if you give something to people, to others, needy people, then you will attain Santok. But it's only the Gyan, the Brahm Gyan, which can be given, with which you can attain Santok yourself, and you can ask others to accept it, and then they can attain Santok. But giving valuables and then asking more and more, and asking for that the people should praise me, that's again a hindrance in the way of mukti. Satyaman Santok Purja Tenake Vichar, Dede Mange Saisa Guna Shok Kare Sansar. They want their praises sung by the world, which is again is they are looking to become permission. Everything comes from permission, not from Jeev. Jeev can only give the Brahm Gyan, Daya Jana Jiki, but they are just more relying on Daya Jana Pindiki. So this is another aspect of it, that they all give the word Santok, but Santok doesn't come with the knowledge from Brahm Gyan. Has to be from Gyan. Satyaman Santok Puja Tenake Vichar, Dede Mange Saisa Guna Shok Kare Sansar, Turan Janate Kudiyana Karama Vigar. In all faiths, all these people are there. In all the three faiths, these people are actually there just to attain some financial gains, and that's not acceptable as well. So first of all, there is a big group, doesn't follow the way, and then they have introduced all these people with greed and dishonesty into their groups. They are further hindering bring that for a particular faith. If Honda chale khaya tha, whatever they have attained so far, they just lose it. Then is the Bhagats. There are very few of them. So all these other faiths, they never relied on Sachinam. And without Sachinam, there is no Mukti. So this is how we need to understand this shalok. Then I will start the next one. In the next.
Hanji, Dilbit Virji.
Hanji Virji.
Hanji Virji, you were able to listen to Gurjit Virji's version of this shalok?
Hanji, yes.
So, do you want to add something to it or give your take on this particular shalok first?
Right. See, on this particular shalok, I agreed what he said. In the first line, when the shalok starts, right, that Muslims are more focused on the Sharia law. And the second one, he said that Bande seje pave which bandi vekan ko didar. So he translated it that you have to come in hukam. But I was taking it other way. I think that Muslims are more focused on the Sharia law, and they think that being in the Sharia law is the way of religion, is that the only thing they need to do. Because if you take these two lines, it is not that other way around, that Bande, the way he was explaining, that also is right. But I think if you take these first two lines, Guruji talks about the Sharia law and the practice, and the same thing he talks about the Hinduism, that they do idol worship. And then in addition to idol worship, Tirath Nave Archa Puja, they think that this is the way of life. So I think these two lines go along with each other. So the only thing I want to add was that in second line, that Muslims think that being in Sharia law or practicing the Sharia law or living the life as per the Sharia law, is that all they have to do? And at the end, Guruji says that no, it is the knowledge, and it is the Gyan which is going to help you, because Nanak Bhagta Pukh Salahana Sach Naam Adhar, that they are always in happiness. Why they are always in happiness? Because they are always trying to be in hukam. Nanak Bhagta Pukh Salhana represents that, okay, they are always in his grace, in his hukam, and their actions reflect that. And such naam adhar, they operate on the truth, so they operate in hukam. So Guruji in first slok is making it clear that none of these rituals or none of these things is going to help you. The true religion is that you have to be in hukam, and this needs to reflect in your actions. And then Guruji says the outcome will that you will be always in anand, or the state of bliss which we want to be. So that's how I take it.
So what is the main message for us? Like what should we do like in our daily life so that we are in similar to the pockets and not the people who do rituals? So like how this translates to our day-to-day life?
So again, as we go right along, the Pauri will say that without the true knowledge or without the Guru, one can understand that there is no way one can understand hukam or the concept of creator. So again, what it is saying is that it should reflect in our actions. This whole game is that this religion should reflect in our actions and day-to-day behaviors. I think that is the key message here, because if you see the Pauri, right, the first line of Pauri is, let's go there. Pauri, bin satgur kine na payo, bin satgur kine na paya. So it says payo and paya. Both words are used. So what it is giving the message is that without the true guru, or without the true knowledge, no one can understand the concept here, or no one has understood it in the past. And then Guruji is also saying Vin Satgur Kine na paya. Again, Guruji is emphasizing that, okay, no one in the past was able to understand it, and no one today will understand without this. So again, the main message the Pauri starts with this, And then what is that we will not understand the concept of creator, that creator is in his creation and it is not separated from us. So no one has ever broken this riddle without this gyan or knowledge in the past, and no one will break the riddle without the knowledge. So I think the main message in this Pauri and Shloks, if I have to summarize, is that okay, that the only way out is we have to use this knowledge and not fall into any rituals without understanding them. Otherwise, there is no way out. Hanji Vijay.
हाँ जी, thank you Vijay. Chetandeep.
That just the first slok will not give the context or the message. As Dilpreet Sirji said, you have to look at the body and the complete set of this two sloks and Pauri to understand what's going on.
Okay, can you help us with the second shloka and Pauri, and then we do the message complete?
I can start by sharing the context that I've understood, and the context that I get from especially the first slok and the Pauri, putting them together. The context that I get is that the essence Guru Sahib is saying in the Pauri, as Dilpreet Sirji said, कि without the Satgur, it's not going to happen. Like there is no way that we can, as Virji said, solve this riddle or get that what we are trying to get, Paya, without Satgur. So this is the essence that I understand. And then in the slok, the first slok, he lists all of that the entire world, including us, is doing. He has listed from all the different religions, rituals, practices, whatever is going on in the world around us. He has said that people have tried everything and everything is useless. Nothing is going to work. And he has given all the examples in the first slok, like what Hindus are doing, Muslims are doing, all yogis, all sects, all people. He is saying nothing is going to work. The only way it's going to work, or we are going to get what we want, or we are going to realize what we want to, is through Satgur. Satgur holds the key to what we want. So Satgur is the key maker. So if Satgur is the key maker, then I think for me at least, the whole business becomes, what is Satgur and how do I meet that Satgur? Right? I mean, if he's saying like nothing else is going to work and everybody has tried everything else, and he's given all the examples for that, and he's saying the essence lies in the Satgur, then the fundamental question for me becomes, what is Satgur and how do I meet the Satgur? Right? I mean, that is a key question. And I want to ask this question time and again. What really is Satgur? I mean, I've heard various answers on this. So many answers. Whenever I ask what is Satgur, people just jump on and say, oh, Satgur is Gyan, knowledge. End of question. Satgur is knowledge, right? So this knowledge. And Gur is Gyan, or they'll use the term Vivek Buddh. Or people will say, the answers that I've heard in the past on this forum and otherwise, Satgur, what is Satgur? Satgur with Syari is Guru Granth Sahib or Guru Nanak at the time he was physically present. Or Satpurukh Jin Janya Satgur Tiska Now. So whoever knows the Satpurukh is a Satgur. So then does that mean even now there are many Satgurs but we don't know who? Or another answer that I've heard is Satgur is Shabad. Shabad Guru Sur Tunchela. So Shabad is Satgur. Shabad in terms of it could be Naad or Shabad as written in Gurbani. Or most common answer is Satgur is a technique, because the key word here is Gur, and Gur means technique. So Satgur is a technique. But personally, I'm still not satisfied with any of the answers that I've got. It's Gyan, or yes, Satgur is Gyan Sru. If you meet the Satgur, you will get the Gyan. But then what is Satgur? is the most fundamental question, because he's saying bin Sadgur kine na payo. Nobody has ever got without the Sadgur. So then what is Sadgur? And if I think about or read Gurbani, to me it seems like that Sadgur has to be universally applicable to all human beings, irrespective of whether I'm a Sikh or not. What is my origin? What is my age, gender, race, ethnicity? Sadgur is the same for all of us. And another condition that I think Sadgur is, it's immediately accessible to everyone equally now in this particular moment. Everyone can access that Sadgur. And Gyan or knowledge or Vivekbodh is a result of meeting Sadgur, not the Sadgur itself. So Sadgur is Gyan Swarup because it enlightens us, but not that it is Gyan. So few shabads that help me or come to my head are Satgur mera sada sada na ave na jaye, वो अबनासी पुरख है सब में रहे समाये. So it is in all of us, it is around us. Sadgur is everywhere. Sadgur jagta hai dev. Pati tore malni, pati pati jiyo. Sadgur jagta hai dev. Sadgur is alive. Sadgur is awareness. Sadgur is probably the consciousness that runs through this universe and that we need to access, because Sadgur is the key maker. But then the question is, how do I meet the Sadgur, right? And we read in the previous few Pauris, Nadar kare je apni ta nadri Sadgur paya. So, and he has also said that no effort is going to take you there. So it's still a puzzle for me. I'm still trying to understand. But this thing Sadgur is, Guru Sahib is making very, very clear that bin Sadgur kine na paya. So Sadgur is fundamental key to whatever we are hereafter. And how to meet Sadgur is what we need to dig from Guru Granth Sahib. वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह.
हाँ जी, थैंक यू वीर जी. हाँ जी, एक ओंकार जी.
वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह. I kind of have a different take on this whole section, and it partly comes from the fact that I don't necessarily agree that translating the word sat as true is a good English translation. So let me just share my thoughts. And the first shlok, I don't believe that Guru Nanak is being negative about other religions in this. I think he's talking about the human condition. Because he had students who were Hindus and Muslims. I mean, he's not saying it's not okay to be Hindu or Muslim, or no Hindu or Muslim has ever gotten it. He's making an observation that when a human being is identified too strongly with a limited concept of the divine, they get caught in hypocrisy, or they get caught in a contradiction. Like if Guru Nanak was alive now, he'd probably add the Khalsa, sit there and wear their bana and do their bani's, but deep in their heart, they're thinking of other things. So he's not, I just don't see this as like a negation of all other traditions. I think it's an observation of human nature that we try to attain this higher understanding of the divine, and yet we can't escape sort of the foible of being human and being in our ego, you know? It's like the Hindus, hey, they understand the divine is unbounded in form and appearance, but they still get caught up in their holy places and their flower offerings and their idols, you know? The people who want to be charitable really feel great in their heart when they think about it, but when they actually do it, they're looking for a reward and they want people to notice. I mean, he's just talking about human nature. And then I love that he adds thieves and liars and people who are doing destructive actions, and basically says, what are they doing? You know, he's pointing to the fact that the problem is ignorance. The problem isn't whether you're a thief or a Hindu or a yogi. The problem is that the human condition is one that's trapped in the state of ignorance. And then he goes into his Guru Nanak lyricism about how everything, you know, there's so much diversity in the creation. And I think this is where Guru Nanak's enlightenment experience, the way he talked about it in Japji Sahib, is so powerful, because Japji is pretty much a celebration of the fact that the Creator has made a creation that's limitless and endlessly diverse. And if you try and put a limit on it or define it, you're missing out on the truth, on the ultimate reality. And so he gets into his beautiful transcendent lyricism, you know, Jal Tal Jia Puriya Loa Akara Akar. I mean, even in the language, it's just like ecstatic, transcendent sound when he goes into that vision of multiplicity. And then he says, you know, from your perspective, O Divine One, you're supporting everybody. You know what they're saying, and you're supporting them. Like, he's not criticizing. He's saying everyone's acting the way they can, and everyone's acting with a certain amount of ignorance, and the divine sees it all, knows what's happening, and supports it all. And then we get to this notion of bhagat. And I don't like the way it's translated into English as devotee, because I don't believe that I think it's about love, honestly. That what shines, what's bright, no matter what path you're on, whether you're Hindu or Muslim or a yogi or even a liar, is love. And the lovers have this hunger to really be able to talk about your reality, like what you really are, Satchanam, your true identity, not true name, but your ultimate identity. You know, that the ones who love God don't want to be limited by any definition, and they just have a hunger to see and express the whole thing. And they experience Sada Anand. They're always in a state of bliss, because they're not limiting where they can go in their love of and praise of the divine. And when it comes to the human beings, they're not trying to be above anybody or be superior to anybody. They're actually wanting to just serve other people who have that same quality of love and limitlessness in their perception. And then he takes this kind of process of analysis of the foibles of religion and religious worship, and he applies it to this idea of, you know, what we do when the body dies. And these lines are especially fascinating for me, because I believe these are the lines that Ram Rai was asked to change and got, you know, banished from his father's court because of it. But this idea that, like, the Muslims are saying, oh, we don't want to be burned. And again, I think Guru Nanak's just an infinitely practical person. He's saying, look, if you let your body decay, it's going to turn into clay, and then one day someone's going to make a pot out of it, and it's going to burn anyway. You know, like, you know, get real, you know, get out of your fantasy. You know, the biggest block to real experience of divinity is that we create a ridiculous fantasy around God, and then we try and live into that fantasy. And he went around doing everything he could to break people's fantasies that they created around God and the divine. And this is like about challenging the fantasy world, that, oh, you know, I can't be burned. And it's like such a practical logic kind of proof that you're being silly about your avoidance of not wanting to be burned. And again, going back to that transcendent place at the end, you know, nobody, because the Muslims are like, well, if you get burned, you're going to die, you know, you're going to be in hell forever. And Nanak's saying, you can't know it. You don't know. Only the creator knows what happens after someone leaves their body. No religion has that knowledge. So he's just challenging our humanity. And then the Pauri, bin Satguru Kinanapayo, bin a Satguru Kinanapaya. What is the Satgur? I don't think truth is a good translation for Sat. I think authenticity is a good translation for Sat, because he's positing the Satgur in opposition to these images of hypocrisy and ignorance in these other passages about religious practice. And so Satgur is the authentic. Gur is formula, it's not even a person. At the base, it just means formula. And Gur is what takes us from darkness to light. So what genuinely takes you from darkness to light is the only, without that authentic process of going from darkness to light, you're not going to get it. Kinanapayo. I'm not going to get it. So I've had a recent conversation with someone who was telling me that he considers that Guru Nanak used Sanskrit grammar, and so payo actually means I, not someone else. So without the authentic journey from darkness to light, you're not going to get it. Without authentically going through a process, from darkness to light, no one's going to get it. And in the authentic process of going from darkness to light, that's where the divine has placed itself. Like, you can't know God by reading about it, thinking about it, or meditating. You can only know God when you engage the human journey in a way where you let your authentic experience show you where you're wrong and where you're limited, and how do you get to the limitless love. How do I get to that place of limitless love? So, Milia, is it meeting? Is it intermixing? I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I just looked at this an hour before we got on, so I'm just kind of giving my first impressions. But meeting with that, by walking along and going along that process, that's where I attain the state of liberation. And it's authentic, not because it's in a book or in a temple or because someone told you. If it gets you to let go of your attachment to the world, if in your journey you find yourself not being so attached to these things that don't matter, like whether I get burned or buried when I die, then that's the proof. The proof is in your experience. It's not in something else. It's in your experience of whether your attachment actually starts to disappear. And so the highest thought is not following the Sharia law or giving the flowers or meditating on the formless one. It's chit laya, chit, my awareness, and then laya is this word that means attuned with love, like the vibration of a musical instrument. I'm always lovingly attuned to the biggest, most transcendent truth that there is, which is concur. There's one creator, created and in the entire creation. And it's not intellectual and it's not a ritual. It's that my consciousness is in loving attunement with that truth. And, that's where I've been given the gift of seeing that there's only one creator who's the life of the universe. So I think we have a habit as Sikhs to want to look at these passages as Guru Nanak being negative towards religions that existed and he's starting something new. But I think that's a kind of historical revisionist view of it. 500 years later, I don't think so. I think he's speaking to human fallibility and the need to be authentic, and that love is the ultimate journey that we're going on. So I know I took a lot of time talking there. I appreciate your indulgence.
No.
Hanji Virji, I think I will touch the second salok again, as Ekumkarji mentioned, right? I
Okay.
think as we all know that Ram Rai, when he was sent to Akbar's place and he was reading Guru Granth Sahib, because a lot of complaints were there with Akbar, the king of that time, that Guru Granth Sahib has some things against the Muslims. So that is where, as Ekam Karji touched, that he said that instead of mitti Musalman ki pede pe ko myar, he said mitti beiman ki. So this shlok is again that there was a very strong belief, and it is today also, right? Muslims believe that if your body is burnt, then you have lost this game, and you will never meet Allah, and you cannot be in heaven, so you will be in hell forever. So, and then there is another strong belief that your body needs to be preserved, so that when there is a night of Qiyamah, when Allah calls, then all these bodies will wake up, and then that will be the time when everybody who is there will meet Allah. So if your body is burnt, then there is no way when he calls you will not wake up. So to that belief or to that ritual, see how beautiful argument Guru Nanak Dev Ji is giving, that you are not burning your body, you don't want it to be burned, but at the end he is giving a very scientific and a logic example, that mitti Musalman ki pede pe ko myar. So if the places where these bodies are buried, over a period of time, what happens is that the soil of these bodies is the best soil to make utensils. So the people, kumyar is the person who make the utensils from the soil, from, so he will go and dig the soils from those places where long back bodies has decayed. So because that is the best soil he wants to use. So that is the example Guruji is giving, that okay, your body has just changed its form, so now it has become the soil, and now you protected it and you thought that it will not get burned, but the kumyar, the person who makes these utensils, will is getting that soil only, and then it is getting burned, and when it is getting burned, then he's giving again the poetic thing, jal jal rove bapdi chad chad ke pave angyar. So again it is getting burned and it is completely burned. So then he's saying that this thing, this belief which you guys have, nobody knows that what is the right way, or how you you will meet, right? That nobody knows that whether that night is going to happen and all, and it is some ritual for which you are doing this, and nobody has answer for that, only the creator knows. And then he, in his bodies, he is explaining that if you really want to meet the creator, as Ekam Karji explained it in details, right, that जगजीवन दाता पाया, right, उत्तम ये विचार है जिन सच्चे स्यों चित लाया. चित लाया means okay, that your mind thought is always connected. So if you are always 24 by 7 connected with the hukam, or you are in the hukam, or you are in awareness, as she used the word, that okay, if you are aware of this authentic truth and or the formula, and if you are using that, chit means that it is always in your mind, and that is the only way that you will meet. And again, many places Guruji has explained that okay, if you do this, then that grace is there. Grace is also, he's saying, is in hukam, it will automatically happen. So that's, I think, the main take here, that chit laya means again 24/7. There are many shabads and many examples in Gurbani. And then lastly, I want to touch on, I think Chetan Deep had very good examples of Satgur. I think all of those are good. And as Ekum Karji has touched it, it is the authentic truth formula or teaching. So Satgur is a teaching, okay? It is. So now we can say there are teachings in Guru Granth Sahib which are for us, which we will be practicing. So it is that knowledge which is in the sense of teaching in Guru Granth Sahib is Satgur, and it is not our knowledge which we derive after learning it. So yes, all this gyan or knowledge And in many places, gurus have been referred as Satgurs, right? And today, I think the teachings of Guru Granth Sahib is our Satgur, because it has enough teachings. Like if we had Guru Nanak today, he would have given us the same teaching in the same form. We can get it from Sri Guru Granth Sahib, which is the Shabad. So just to understand those teachings of Guru Granth Sahib, I think is our Satgur, and then it is up to us to follow it or to implement it. Thank you, Ji.
Anji, thank you, Virji. Just I will point out that it was the Aurangzeb's court and not the Akbar's court where Ram Rai went.
Yes, okay, yes.
Thank you, Virji. Anji, Chetandeep, Virji.
Hanji Veerji, I have a question. I have a question for Ekonkarji on.
Yeah, before, can I ask you a question?
Please go ahead.
So, like, as Dilpi Virji mentioned that Guru Granth Sahib, because there's so many teachings in it, it is a Sadguru for us. So, like you mentioned that you heard a lot of things and none can satisfy you. So why you think that we can't consider the Guru Granth Sahib as a Satguru and use that as our understanding for this body? Anji, Chetandeep Virji. You're mute right now.
Hanji Veerji, because I think it's pretty clear from a lot of Shabads that Satguru is inside us. It's not outside somewhere. It's inside us that we need to access. I could find few Shabads. Let me see if I can. But so that's the reason I said, I mean, it is a manual, definitely. The teachings are there. But the Satgur, that is and I agree with Ekonkarji that Sat doesn't mean true. For me, the Sat means permanent, something that is always there. And that in a sense is authentic. So that Satgur which is inside me has to enlighten me, basically. So on the similar line, I mean, I have a question for Ekonkarji on what she explained, like what she understands by the word Satgur. And if I could make it right, she used the word authentic process. So she said, so the question is like, what is that authentic process? And what I further heard was, it is basically that authentic process in my experience, or as a result of that authentic experience that I have, will help me get rid of my attachments. So my question again here is the same. What is that authentic process that I need to follow 24/7?
Okay, Anji,
Well, you know, I think that then this gets back to what Guru Nanak says in Japji. Amrit Vela Suchana Variya Vichar Karmiyave Kapara Nazari Mokduar Nanak Eva Janiya Sab Ape Sachiar. That when he talks about the work that we have to do, he's saying get up in the Amrit Vela and meditate, and other places in Japji, find the bathing place within yourself and wash off the filth. Practice the experience of love, practice listening. I think that becomes the training ground, because I believe in my heart that Guru Nanak's whole point was the mind gets fixated on an outer ritual, and then it becomes manipulative in that ritual towards God and other human beings. When what you need to do is direct the mind inwards, and then it's really, you know, a kata, you know, it's the story that can't be told. Your genuine journey to remove your own filth and find the light that lives inside of you is not something you can explain to anyone or prove to anyone. It's just that other people who've also taken that journey will understand what you're going through and can support you in it. And so the Sat Gur is that kind of, there's a line in Gurbani, and I don't remember exactly where, but it says something like, Bani Brahm hai, that Bani is God, that the Guru is an aspect of God, that part of being human is that we're here to evolve, and God, the divine, will move through your life to show you how to evolve. But your job is to create the opportunity to be sensitive to that process, which ultimately is not a mental process. Ultimately, it's about conquering the mind so that the chit, which is the awareness, my understanding of chit is that it's the awareness underneath the thoughts, right? It's just pure awareness, that the chit can find the attunement of love towards everything. And anyway, I'm not sure if that satisfies your question or not, but that's what I would offer.
Ikunkarji, I heard a couple of things that I want to clarify. So about the authentic process or the Satgur, you mentioned that process, you mentioned two things. One, you mentioned the Amrit Vela and the meditation. And the second thing you mentioned is the inner bathing, going inside and, Atma Tirath, and directing the mind inwards. So my point being, you mentioned two things, one outer and one inner. But if I read the first slok, go back to the first slok, Guru Nanak is saying the same thing, like anything that you do, be it Amrit Vela, be it meditation, be it any of the efforts that you do on your own. At that time, he gave examples of Muslim and Hindus and Satya and everything else. He's saying all efforts that you are doing, especially outwards, are useless. So how is that an authentic process?
I don't believe he's saying that all the efforts are useless. I believe that what he's saying is that it's human and normal for the mind to get locked into a ritual of some kind. But it's a good point. It's a good question. What I'm clear about is that every single guru in Gurbani at some point has said Amrit Vela. And my personal belief, for whatever it's worth, is that in the Amrit Vela, we learn to distinguish between the mind and the heart. And it's through the heart that we do the inner bathing, and it's through the heart that the Satgur can guide us on a process out of the darkness into the light. But we have to give ourselves a chance to learn the difference between those two energies. And that's what Guru Nanak prescribed, that's what Guru Angad, Guru Amar Das, Guru Ram Das, Guru Arjan, Guru Tegh Bahadur, all of them said, this is an integral part of the discipline if you want to experience this other dimension of reality.
Thank you. So don't take it personally that I am questioning the belief that you hold, but I'm just trying to understand that, yes, I agree with you in the first slok that Guru Sahib is not specifically targeting or being negative about any particular religion or sect, but he is noting down the human condition. And as you very well said in the beginning, that we strongly identify with a limited concept and we get caught in our hypocrisy, right? That is our human condition. So how is not Amrit Vela a ritual, and how it is not, again, strongly identifying with a limited concept?
Well, that's where I mean, it's that. Sorry, I'm hearing an echo. Okay, that's Guru Nanak's prescription, right? It's his prescription, Amrit Vela Sachanao.
No, but he cannot prescribe something that he is negating.
He's not negating Amrit Vela in this passage. And every guru has affirmed it. afterwards, and the traditions are very rooted in getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning. But it's an experience. I mean, that's just it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and argue and debate and prove to you what Amrit Vela is. I'm going to say it's in Bani over and over again, and there is an experience that you can find if you do that practice, but you can't find that experience because someone's going to give it to you or prove it to you. That's where Satguru comes in. That's where what's inside of you comes in. You're the only one who can give that experience to yourself.
Thank you, Kanchi. Meena Benji, you want to add anything?
Yeah, there's a lot of echo. Oh,
Is it better now?
yeah, even I removed it from the car. The difference between the ritual and the actual would be the intention. One person could be praying from heart, so that would be bathing, your inner bathing. But the other person who is just doing it with some other intention, maybe to show that I'm a good person, I go to Gurdwara, or any other intention, would be a ritual. Or, okay, I'm fulfilling this because Guru said that. Well, even that would be inner bathing, but the difference would be the intention. And that's very, very inner thing, very personal. So whoever was asking that question, I would answer that. And Amrit Vela, what I can add into the Amrit Vela, yes, technically Amrit Vela is the morning time. Like Chauthe Pehre, there's a lot of Shabads that come that they get up in the 4th Peher, which is around 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, from 3 to 6. Because the Peher starts from 6 o'clock. So the night Peher starts from 6 to 9 is the first, 9 to 12 is the second one, 12 to 3 is the third one. So you're supposed to wake up at the 4th Peher, which is from 3 to 6, and that is Amrit Vela. But later on, it also says Sad Amrit Vela, means every time, anytime, even this is Amrit Vela because we're taking his name, we're talking about him. So even this is Amrit Vela. If your mind is connected to Guru, that is Amrit. If it is connected to Maya, it is poison. If right now you are talking here, but your mind is not here, your mind is taking some other furnas, is thinking about something else, oh, I have to do this after that, then right there and then you are not drinking the Amrit. So it's your mind that has to drink the Amrit. So
take on like authentic process and how we know we are on the right track.
See, I think Chetandeep has asked a very interesting and a basic question. The way I look at this is that these are the steps. And once we are on one step, we have to move on to the other step, because I completely agree with Chetandeep. If we get up every day at 4 o'clock and do Vaheguru and get stuck at that step, then it will become a ritual over a period of time. And as Guruji is taking us out from other ritual, he doesn't want us to get into a ritual, right? So again, I take this as a steps, and we need to move on. It is a constant progression. Yes, one definition is getting up early, but then there is other definition of Amrit Bela that it is always there. So that means that yes, like if you have to play a game, initially you have to practice it, learn it from somebody, and learn the rules of the game. Again, then you have to move on, then you have to play the game. So again, that's how I take it. We should not get stuck at one step, because if we are getting stuck at one step, then there is no progression and no movement, because the Sikh is a daily learner. We have to learn, apply, then move on to the another step. All of these definitions are right, but if we get stuck like a water, Guruji has many examples that a moving water he wants us to be. He doesn't want us to be a water which is stuck at one place, because then the water is getting spoiled. The moving water is the best water, and it has the self cleaning process. So again, it is the progression, and these are the definitions of the step. Once we understand or we have fulfilled one step, we will automatically move to the other step once we start implementing it. But Without knowledge, Guruji is saying, without understanding, if you are stuck at a step, then you will always be stuck. So that is where the understanding, gyan, knowledge comes. And that is what Guru Granth Sahib will help us. Because there was another thing, right? Let's see that I know it may contradict somebody, but if a person is looking at Guru Nanak's picture every day, he is not going to get gyan by looking at the picture. Okay, but again, at the same time, there is a thought process that if a person just repeats the word Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru all the time, 24/7, he is not going to get gyan. The progression is that yes, it is the inward, we have to do that, but it is a step in the process. Then we have to learn from Gurbani and keep moving on to the next steps. Otherwise, without knowledge, we will get stuck and we will be like a water which is standing water, which Guru Nanak doesn't want us to be. Thank you, Virji.
Ekankarji, any final comments for today?
Yes, I sincerely believe that this issue of what's authentic for every person is what is important, because I can get into the passion of my experience of Amrit Vela and tell everyone they have to get up in the Amrit Vela and it says it in Gurbani and you have to do it. But that's not true. What's true is I have to do it, because that's where I find the experience with the Guru. And it's how can we honor that there are many ways to connect with that journey, and it's just about encouraging each person to find their authentic connection. That's all. Thank you. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thank you, Ji. Dilpreet Virji, any final comments?
No, Virji, I'm good. So I just wanted to say it because I was not planning. I know there is a lot of contradictions there, so I just wanted to put it on the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Virji. I think so. I think it's a different topic, so I think we will take that topic some other day. So I think we have a good discussion on this Pauri, and we will continue next week with Pauri 7, and hopefully all can join. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.